Hey guys, what's up? It's Fern. I hope that you're all doing so well. Thanks for joining me for another Planty video. I am filming standing up today, which is a little bit different, but I feel very free. So we're just doing it. Today we're going to be talking about some of my favorite pet safe plants or plants that are non-toxic to pets. I get people commenting somewhat often asking whether a certain plant is pet safe or non-toxic, and it hasn't really been a topic that I have known much about. And I do have pets. I have 2 dogs, but they take zero interest in the plants. Like, I don't even know if they are aware that there's 200 plants in this house because they don't even look at them, they don't fuss with them, nothing. So I guess I'm really lucky that way. I think dogs are kind of less likely to be interested in the plants than cats, but I know a lot of planty people that are cat people and they have zero issues. So I guess it really just depends on your pet. It's always better to be safe than sorry though, so I've chosen 7 of my favorite plants that are non-toxic to pets to share with you today. Okay, so the first plant that I'm going to talk about, or I guess family of plants that I'm going to talk about, is Calathea. So this one here is a Calathea medallion, but all Calathea are pet safe, so there's tons of different varieties. They come in all different shapes and colors, and I definitely think that they're some of the most beautiful plant varieties. Like, they have like a very like painted on look on the leaves. They're just so beautiful. I've had this one for quite some time. We have been on a journey together. It's had spider mites a couple of times. It did recently again, actually. Also, you can see there's some damage on the leaves from the treatment I used, which is unfortunate, but I think it worked because I think we are spider mite free. These guys can be quite finicky. I always say that I love Calathea, but Calathea don't love me. I have the problem of spider mites. I have the problem of my inconsistent watering, which is my fault. I tend to be an underwaterer, which is not good for these plants. They like to stay kind of lightly moist. And some of them do poorly with tap water as well. I guess it depends where you live. Luckily where I am, the water quality is pretty good, but that can definitely be an issue. But in any case, they are still a beautiful option. Maybe not the best option to go for if you are brand new to houseplants. I think they're totally worth it though if you can nail down the care. And Calathea are also pretty readily available at most nurseries and plant shops, so you can definitely find a lot of different varieties to get your hands on in your local area. And yeah, that is the first one on my list, Calathea. Okay, second is another genus of plants, and that is Hoya. I'm so stoked that Hoya are pet safe because there are so many varieties. They come in so many different shapes and sizes. This is Hoya Wyetii right here. I just grabbed this one because I've really been liking it lately. It's grown so much. It's pretty big. This guy started off as a pretty small pot for me. I would say that most Hoya are pretty easy to take care of, so a good option for a lot of people. And you can also get like big baskets of trailing Hoya, or you can trellis them and have them climbing. There's just so many different things that you can do with them, and they're a really fun plant to collect. They're definitely one of my favorites. Most of them have really like hardy succulent type leaves. These guys appreciate moderate to bright light. They can tolerate some direct sun as well. I typically keep most of mine in a higher light setting, and they're quite happy with that. I actually have a whole video on Hoya care, so I'll link that if you're interested. I just grabbed a couple off of the shelf that's right beside me there just to show you. So this is a Hoya verticulata variegata, and this is Hoya elmeri, and they're both just so cute. Just an example of a couple different species. Another thing about Hoya is that they typically can stay small for quite some time. Like, a lot of them aren't like rapid growers or anything like that. They're not going to take up a ton of space. So if you want to collect like quite a few different plants and you don't have a giant space to keep them, Hoya is a really good route to go. Okay, next on my list is Burros tail, which if you have been on my channel before, you would know that it's one of my favorite plants, one of my favorite succulents for sure. I know that some succulents are pet safe, but then some of them are toxic. Like, for example, the bear paw is one of my favorite succulents, and that one's toxic if ingested. So that's why I'm going to be highlighting my Burros tail. I'm not holding it. I'm just gonna add some B-roll footage over top because whenever I move this thing, you guys, it loses a bunch of leaves. And it makes me really sad because, like I said, it's one of my favorites. If you want a really cool looking trailing plant, then I would definitely recommend a Burros tail. They're so easy to take care of. They grow relatively fast. They propagate like a dream. I have a little one, a little baby one that's propagating as well, actually. This is the baby one that I have, and this is so cute. This was propagated from leaves about 6 months ago now, and now it's turning into a little baby pot of Burros tail. It's just so precious. There's actually a few different varieties of this available as well. They have like different leaf shapes. Some of them are like rounder, some of them are longer. But yeah, I think it's a really great option for, like I said, if you're looking for a unique trailing plant or if you are looking for a succulent. I grow my larger one in a west-facing window, so it gets some afternoon and evening sun if it's a sunny day. And then I grow this baby one under my Mars Hydro grow light, so it does get pretty high lighting and it's been doing really well. I just water once they get squishy. It's very obvious when these guys need water, which is really nice as well. It's definitely one of my favorite plants, and I was so stoked to find out that it's pet friendly. Okay, next on my list is another kind of more succulent type guy here. I'm keeping it in the macrame or else it's just so tricky to get it out every time. But this is my Ric Rac Cactus. Look at this, you guys. Look at how much this thing has grown. It's a bit of a mess, actually. I just watered it not long ago. It's kind of heavy too. The word that comes to mind when I look at this plant is funky. It is just like such a weird, like, look at the leaves. It's so interesting. So this is actually a type of jungle cactus. So it has like these thick succulent leaves, super easy to take care of, likes pretty high light, and you just water once the leaves get soft, or at least that's what I do. Once it's like fully dried out, you'll know because they get quite floppy and soft when they're thirsty. This guy has grown really well for me. This is actually two that I potted together in the fall. I think I did a repot with me video when I think it was a spooky repot actually, when I potted these both in here. And it's finally starting to like fill out and look a little bit better. But yeah, I just love this plant. Like I said, it's been super easy care for me. These are very tolerant of different conditions. I've had this even in like lower light for a period of time and it was doing pretty well. Not that I really recommend keeping plants in low light ever, but yeah, pretty hardy. I have been told that these are really easy to propagate as well. If you just cut some up, then they'll root up. You can actually see aerial roots on a lot of the leaves already. But yeah, this is quite heavy, so I'm gonna put it back up. But yeah, definitely one of my favorite plants and pet friendly. Okay, next on my list is another fun one. I'm realizing that a lot of these are trailing plants, so hopefully y'all are into trailing plants. But the next one on my list is string of hearts, and I have two different varieties here. This is just the regular string of hearts. This is just a little propagation that I grabbed. That is what it looks like. I actually have a whole video on string of hearts as well. I demo the propagation and everything like that. It's pretty thorough, so I will link that as well if you're interested. And then this is my newest variety of string of hearts, which is the Silver Glory. I have been loving this one lately. I actually just repotted it and gave it fresh soil. It had a couple of buddies in there with it, so I separated them all, but yeah, this is what it looks like. It is so cute. This is one of the fastest growing houseplants in my collection, without a doubt. I honestly feel like every couple of days it puts out a new leaf. These love high lighting. I let these get either like direct light from a grow light or put them in a window spot where they're gonna get some direct sun, because they will really thrive in highlighting conditions. They're fairly easy. You just want to make sure that you're not overwatering. That's like the big thing. You definitely want to wait until the leaves are soft at the top before you water. But like I said, I have a whole care guide, so if you're interested in string of hearts, then go watch that. But definitely a really pretty houseplant that is safe for pets as well. There's a handful of varieties of string of hearts, and I have 3 of them. I also have the variegated one. I didn't grab it to bring it in here. Okay, the next plant that I'm going to talk about that is safe for pets is Maranta. This is a lemon lime Maranta, but there are different varieties. Ooh, maybe I'll just show you one of my variegated ones for fun. You guys know that I like them. This is an example of a variegated Maranta. This is just one that I'm growing in my little mini greenhouse. Look at how pretty that is, and look at how huge the leaves are. I'm obsessed. But I'm gonna use this one for the demo. You know what I just realized? I have a whole care video on Maranta as well. That's so weird. Almost all the plants I'm talking about I have like, well no, that's not true. Like half of the plants I'm talking about I have a specific care video for. I'll just link them all down below if you are interested in any of them. But this is my lemon lime Maranta. It is getting pretty full. I recently added a propagation to it to kind of fill up the pot a little bit more. This one is actually a little bit thirsty as well. I shouldn't have potted it in terracotta. I don't recommend that. I would pot in plastic or even ceramic. These have similar care to the Calathea that I showed at the beginning. They like to stay lightly moist. I feel like I'm always watering. Like I cannot water this plant enough, especially because it's in terracotta. As for lighting, they can grow in pretty diverse lighting. I've grown these in like quite low light up to like very high light under my Mars Hydro grow lights, and they did really well in both conditions. The leaves got huge when the lighting was higher, so maybe keep that in mind. But yeah, in my experience, these have been quite easy as long as you keep them somewhat moist. They can tolerate drying out a little bit, especially this. The lemon lime is quite hardy. But I try to not let it dry out all the way. It's like, it's honestly dried out all the way right now. So I'm gonna water it after this video. But other than that, they're quite easy. They prefer a little bit higher humidity. That will really help them out and prevent crisping. I do have some crisping on mine, which could also be from inconsistent watering. But yeah, really beautiful houseplant. And like I said, there's a few varieties of this as well. There's the variegated one. There's that version, but not variegated. There's the red veined one, which is actually the one that I want. I'm just like on this thing where whenever I see the red veined Maranta in like a big basket, I just think it's so beautiful and I really want one. Even though I know a lot of people prefer the lemon lime. I think that could just be due to scarcity in different regions, but yeah, definitely a beautiful houseplant. Love them, and I love that they kind of trail once they get older as well. It's pretty cool. Okay, and then the last plant that I'm going to be talking about today is the Staghorn Fern, which is a pretty unique one. So mine is actually mounted on some cork here, and I just used, okay, so it's mounted with sphagnum moss, and then all I did get some questions about this last time I showed this plant. All I did was use, this is like elastic for beading bracelets or something that I got from Michael's. So I used that to fasten it, and then I put nails in, and the elastic is just kind of like crisscrossed around the different nails. I'm thinking that it's like rooted on now, and I could probably even like cut that off, but I've just left it on for now. It is a fun little DIY to do if you're interested in the Staghorn Fern, but yeah, anyways. So this is honestly one of the easiest plants that exists in our home. I can neglect this thing for weeks and weeks and it will be perfectly fine. All I do is every couple of weeks, I just run water over it and the sink, and that's pretty much it. I just run water through, let it absorb. It gets some direct sunlight. It's like beside the window, beside a west facing window, so it gets like some from the side. But I think that these do like quite a lot of light. This one honestly has not done too much since we got it. We've had it for probably a year and a half, and it's grown a little bit. Like it's definitely given us some new leaves, but nothing crazy. It's not like much larger than when we purchased it, I don't think. These are definitely different from a lot of like traditional leafy ferns. In that they can tolerate drying out. This thing's bone dry right now and it's not even wrinkled. If I let it go like another several days, it would probably wrinkle up on me, but then it would just go back to normal once I watered it. Like they're so hardy. So I thought it was a really great option as well, just because they are really unique and kind of cool and funky again, if you will. But yeah, super easy. I think that all ferns are pet friendly, actually. I did find a pretty extensive list going over what plants are toxic and which ones are non-toxic for pets on the ASPCA website. So I'll link that down below so that you guys have some resources if you want to look up plants that you have or plants that you might want to get if you're worried about your pets. It's pretty surprising how many of our like common plants actually are toxic, like our pothos, monstera, philodendrons, stuff like that. I don't think that you necessarily like couldn't have any of those in your home, but you would definitely have to be like really strategic in where they're placed. And yeah, like I said, better safe than sorry. I know a lot of people's pets don't even care about plants, which is so nice, but yeah, I just thought it would be helpful to make a video sharing some cool options. Oh, I also did want to mention to please be careful with your spiky plants, your euphorbia and cactus, because a lot of those are toxic, and some like cactus are even like psychedelic, so Lord only knows what that would be like if your pet ingested it. But yeah, just make sure that all of your spiky plants are away from your pets. We did unfortunately have a circumstance where one of our dogs got poked by one of our euphorbia, and we obviously moved it to a different spot and it hasn't been a problem since. But just a reminder, I know that's probably really obvious, but just a reminder to be really cautious, because even if you don't think something's gonna happen, it can. We've been through that, you know, it resulted in a vet visit, and obviously this is quite some time ago and everything's okay and all good, but just a word of caution. And yeah, I think that is pretty much it. If you guys want to share some pet-friendly options down below in the comments too, I would love that. Obviously there are tons. I just chose some of my favorites that I had around my home. As always, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Make sure you subscribe to my channel for more planty content, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!